Welcome back to a brand new C3 video. Today I'm joined with JJ, who is our Chief Client Officer at Connected 3. And today JJ is going to be answering some of the top questions that are most commonly being asked across the marketing industry at the moment. So to start off, why do you think brands' gains in organic visibility aren't translating into an uplift of traffic and or sales?
So we often get this question from a lot of new prospects and new clients. A lot of the time it comes down to the types of keywords that they're tracking and what they're ultimately benchmarking their visibility against. So for example, third-party tools that monitor visibility, a lot of these third-party tools will often capture a whole host of keywords, and some of these keywords won't have that commercial intent behind them. So ultimately, what new clients and prospects do tend to see is that uplift in visibility that doesn't necessarily translate to traffic and sales. And that simply comes down to the fact that the keywords that they're benchmarking themselves against don't have that commercial intent and impact that would necessarily translate to sales. So a lot of the time we work with clients to actually understand what keywords they should be monitoring and tracking, and ultimately what keywords are important to them from a commercial perspective. And that's often where we see the disconnect. Secondly, one of the things that has come up more and more over the last 5 or so years is the change in search engine result page. So Google are often making changes, whether that's changes that are influenced by AI or changes that are more influenced by the paid advertising. That can also have an effect on a brand's traffic and sales that come through search. A brand might be seeing an uplift in visibility that might not necessarily be translating to traffic and sales due to the fact that their click-through rates through their organic results are being limited by the fact that Google have made changes. So for example, within the shopping ads in particular, they've become much more intrusive, particularly on product and e-commerce based keywords over the years, and that will in effect stunt how much traffic they're seeing from an organic perspective. So that is particularly two areas that we see as being sort of problematic in terms of how we kind of connect the two from a visibility and a traffic and sales point of view.
So what new trends should brands be aware of, and how can they keep on top of these trends?
So yeah, a lot of the time here at Connected 3, we have a whole host of different tools that we use to actually monitor a market that a client is working and operating in. One thing that we look at in particular is search insights, and that they come directly from Google often. And when it comes to new trends and emerging trends, what we try to understand when we're speaking to clients, either in monthly meetings, quarterly meetings, or bigger strategic reviews, is actually that understanding of where the market is going from a search point of view. So what areas, in terms of categories that we're monitoring, what areas are performing well from a search perspective, where a search is coming up more with clients, and how they can then capitalise on emerging trends that way, just looking at the search data. Equally, we look at it from the point of view as well, where searches are decreasing. So actually understanding areas where historically clients might have done well from a search perspective. However, if the demand in that category is declining, then that's obviously going to then translate into lesser sales and lesser traffic coming through those keywords. So ultimately it's about understanding the search market and relaying those search insights back to clients on a regular basis.
Do you think links will have any impact if a site's technical SEO is not in a good place?
So this is really a really interesting question. It comes up quite a lot with a lot of clients that we work with and talk to. Ultimately, it's about understanding where Google trusts you at the minute from an organic perspective. So getting that understanding of if a site doesn't rank altogether, then clearly there are probably issues relating to technical SEO that do need to be addressed. However, oftentimes what we see is that clients do actually hold some level of ranking and visibility for a certain set of keywords. So actually, from Google's point of view, there is a level of trust already being established there. So in short, the answer to that question is that links still will have an impact on a client's visibility regardless of certain issues that might be relating to their technical performance. And oftentimes technical performance, there are backlogs, there are things that from a development point of view clients do need to address and deal with. However, what we found with clients, even with clients that do have these underlying challenges in terms of technical performance, we have found that from a digital PR perspective, if we're pointing links at the right areas of the site, those links are coming from the right websites, they're relevant, ultimately that's going to impact their performance. And we have seen that time and time again with the clients that we work with. And going back to the sort of start of this, it's actually that understanding of where we rank well at the minute, where we perform well, and really trying to sort of boost the signals across those areas.
So do you think that a brand should be bidding on brand terms, even if they're finding that there is little competition?
So we've had this come up quite a few times actually in the last 12 months. We've got a lot of clients bidding on their brand terms, even though competition is relatively low. What we have found running numerous tests over those 12 months is that it does actually pay to bid on brand terms. So particularly with brands as well that operate in the e-commerce space, often the shopping ads will appear quite prominently on their brand search results. So that's another factor as well behind why we feel it does generally pay dividends to bid on your brand terms. Ultimately, with clients that we're working with, we need to be constantly having those conversations with them, constantly testing and making sure that we are bidding in the right moments ultimately, and not wasting spend where otherwise they pull that traffic in through organic listings.
So what do you think clients can do to combat rising CPCs?
So this is a massive challenge at the minute, particularly in the media space, and a lot of this comes down to the fact that we're losing data. So ultimately, there's a few different things that we've been speaking to clients about when it comes to combating rising CPCs. One of those being feeding the algorithms richer signals, and a lot of that does come down to first-party data. Secondly is around creative. So in our media team here at Connected 3, they talk a lot about thumb-stopping creative, and a lot of the things that we do to combat rising CPCs is around making sure that our creative is working as hard as possible. So that's ensuring that it stands out from the crowd, and it does give that sort of thumb-stopping effect that we talk to our clients a lot about. So it's about refining and iterating and making sure that we're testing formats and testing different creatives so that we're ultimately combating those rising CPCs. So the final point when it comes to combating rising CPCs is investing in your brand over time. What that will do is that it will maintain a level of trust in your brand. Your customers and users are more likely to click on your ads across both search and social. So it does pay off to invest in your brand, and sometimes this can get overlooked due to the cost of doing so. But we found with clients that we work with, those that do consistently invest in brand do often reap the rewards from a click-through rate perspective, which then equally means that they can take advantage of lower CPCs.
Managing expectations with a client, I feel like is something that often comes up. So how do you best manage this? We've
worked with clients over the years in spaces that are dominated by players in the market that have been there for a number of years, and we've had to sort of try to muscle into spaces that, clients that we've worked with, they ask the question around whether it's possible to actually play in that space where, established brands have been in for such a long time. Now this comes back to a question that was asked previous, but it's around actually identifying areas that we feel that we can win. So within SEO, there's lots of different things to consider, but the core fundamentals are obviously technical SEO, content, and digital PR. And in particular, it's looking at those three areas and understanding where competitors are in those areas and where we feel with our clients we can ultimately win and outperform them in certain areas. So working with clients at the start of the year, the first sort of 12 months of working with that client, it's about understanding where we are now. So running some very thorough analysis to actually understand where they are from a visibility perspective, and then working with the client to then agree on where we feel we should be in the next 12 months. And it's actually working towards those objectives and underpinned by what was mentioned earlier around identifying those areas that we feel we can really dominate and outperform competitors. So one of the things that clients ask us a lot is about, they are aware that their competitors are spending a lot more money than they are on brand activity and awareness activity, and they feel that in order to compete organically, they have to be matching them in terms of their brand spend and awareness activity. However, what we found at Connected 3 over the years is that we've worked with clients and we've actually been able to sort of demystify this claim really that brand ultimately wins in SEO. Actually, what we found is that if you're nailing the tactics across SEO in terms of content, digital PR, and technical SEO, you can win and you can outperform competitors that are seemingly spending a lot more on brand and awareness activity.
If you'd like to find out more about what we offer here at Connected 3, feel free to visit our website, connected3.com, or you can find us on social media, and we'll see you next time.